obviously had questions, a number of questions, with regard to the state of play, like you said. And I think it was his first time to meet people and hear our side of the story. To the extent that there was a very candid discussion between the president of Tigray and Chief Obasanjo simply meant it will help clarify matters. So it would be premature for us to comment on substantive issues, but the fact that they both met and exchanged views on what they both think is the right thing to do as far as addressing the crisis and the war in Ethiopia. And of course, we in Tigray feel strongly about doing something about the genocidal campaign that has been waged against our people. So President Tebretsion took the opportunity to explain at length what we in Tigray stand for as far as the resolution of the conflict is concerned.
And what is your view on how to resolve the conflict, as you said earlier, the way forward?
The only obstacle that's standing in the way of peaceful resolution to the conflict is Abiy's obsession with military solution to what is essentially a political problem. Now he tried to impose his will on the people of Tigray, and the people of Tigray were singled out simply because they took their right to self-determination very seriously. We went ahead with elections, and it probably is the first time in history that a leader would unleash war against people who simply insisted on exercising their right to vote. So,
however,
yes,
if I can ask you though, because that's now taking it back to the elections that you held, even though the government, the central government, had asked you not to and had called for a postponement. But if we now move it to now, 2021. You say that the central government is looking for a military way forward, but what about you? Because your forces have joined with the OLA. What is your intent as you advance towards Addis Ababa, if I may ask?
We are fighting because, even after removing Abiy's forces from most parts of Tigray, so there are still territories in the hands of enemy forces, what we were expecting was for Abiy to essentially agree to resolving the conflict peacefully. But they continue to impose a blockade against the people of Tigray to achieve through blockade what they failed to achieve through tanks and artillery pieces. So we had to, save our people from the chokehold that was imposed by Abiy. Our children are dying not simply because as long as the chokehold is maintained by Abiy, as long as he still thinks he can carve our people into submission, as long as he is presiding over a status quo where our children are dying from hunger and starvation, we'll continue to take appropriate measures.
If I may ask, you say the ball is in his court and you will continue to take appropriate measures. Yes. Does this mean that unless a blockade is lifted and food and supplies get to the millions who are now starving, who are on the brink of famine, according to the UN, in Amhara and also in Tigray, more importantly, are you saying you will continue to march towards Addis Ababa?
Very much so. Yes, that's our position. We'll continue to march. It's not so much about Addis Ababa as our intention to arm twist Abiy into lifting the blockade on our people. We would like to allay the fears of the people of Addis Ababa that we're not in the business of terrorizing them. We are only in the business of neutralizing the threat that emanates from there, and we'll do everything that a responsible party such as my government would do to allay the fears of the people of Addis Ababa. It is for Abiy to say yes to our demands. It is Abiy who started the war, and it remains for Abiy to agree to our terms and put an end to the conflict.